One, it's a presentation I like to do every week to make sure people understand what civic tech is and understand how they can play a role in being a civic hacker, even if that's not how they would have chosen to identify themselves. You can come to Open Austin or any kind of event like this and be overwhelmed with jargon and kind of wonder, why are they talking about jewelry and snakes? Ruby and Python are two very popular programming libraries, and there's more, but it's about more than just coding. It's great if you are a coder and you know any languages. Python, Ruby, JavaScript are pretty popular ones, but what I want to make sure comes clear in this presentation is that your background as a designer or in project management or working within governments or working within nonprofits or as any kind of like expert in something, or just as a citizen, is all you really need to be a civic hacker. So yeah, that's the main thing I want everyone to walk away with. We really want this to be a place where people are coming to learn and share with each other. So if you don't know how to program, that's fine. Oh.
Just scoot a little bit that way. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's great.
All right,
yeah.
Sweet. Cool. So there's a couple resources that are really helpful for a lot of the projects that folks work on. Most projects will have some sort of data component, and so it's really a really valuable tool for exploring what data is available. Is data.austintexas.gov. So here is the city's data portal, and we'll dive into some examples, but this is kind of what the landing page looks like. This is Austin was one of the first cities to adopt this type of portal, but now it's pretty commonplace. But there's still a lot of data that the city owns or maintains that doesn't get uploaded. So there's more opportunities to get more data published, and that's kind of one of the big advocacy issues that Open Austin is always working on, is getting more data sets published. My favorite data set to share with folks that's super rich, I think there's a lot of, oh wow, they've changed this website since I last was here. Wow. This is different. Cool, so I think I go to view data. Okay, this is what I'm used to. So this is the 311 data set. 311 is non-emergency phone calls, and not just phone calls. You can make a 311 request online. You can make it through their 311 app. And what's nice about it is it kind of represents all these transactional experiences people are having with the city, aside from emergencies. So you can see this SR, which stands for Service Request Description. You can see all these different types of requests that are coming in, the department that it gets assigned to. There's unique numbers to follow these. You can see the method that it was received over the phone through their API, status, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of these will have like an address, and sometimes there's like a geocode, state plane coordinate, latitude, longitude. So this is really rich. Even in the council district this happens in. So you could do an analysis of like how fast the city responds to pothole repairs in District 1 versus District 10. That's why I think it's really rich, and I think it's a really kind of, most people have had an experience calling 311, so I think it's a good kind of example. Animal and vehicle, I haven't seen that yet. So these are when people complain that there's an animal in a vehicle, which is, that's sad.
With regard to the street and the geo, are those tied to the requester's physical location upon opening the issue, or are they tied to is it just redundant to the street, the SR location, or the street number, or just this column right here?
Yeah, so the SR location is like it's all concatenated together, and then street number, street name, city, and zip are
right. But is that redundant to the GIS info, and or is the GIS info tied to the requester's physical location?
Yeah, so all of the location columns, including the coordinates, will come from like if you saw a pothole, it wouldn't be like your own address. It would be wherever you said you found the pothole. Is that what you're asking?
I think they're
I'll take it offline. I'll take it offline.
Cool.
I don't want to hold up.
No worries. Cool. So that's through in one. We'd like to give an example of a Civic hack project. This isn't the best one to go over anymore because this project is kind of dated, but I'll go through it anyways. Oh man, this web link won't even work. Well, I'm not gonna. So pet alerts was an idea that someone had at a hackathon a while back, and we used to use it as an example of a good Civic hack project. But I think there's probably better examples. We need to update this. But there's really 5 things you need for a project, and some of these you don't necessarily even need. But the first thing is to have an idea that addresses a problem that people have in the city, right? And that's what kind of makes it align with the values of Open Austin being about civic tech. The second is to do some research first, right? Go talk to some people that are affected by this issue. Go talk to people at the city that are working on this issue. We often jump to conclusions or solutions, knowing that what the best idea is, or thinking we know what the best way to solve a problem is before actually engaging the expert. So we think it's important to circle back and do some research before you jump in. This is one that's kind of optional. Some projects need a data set, others don't. We talked about the through-in-one data. The fourth one is to build something, and then that's kind of it in a nutshell. And ideally, you would kind of go through this and then go back to the top and keep kind of iterating and make your project better and better. So that's just kind of, I wanted to give it an example, and we need to update the slide because pet alerts isn't the best one. Cool. So for those of you that are programmers, or those of you that are interested in learning more about programming, so Socrata is the company that runs data.austintexas.gov. You can see in the bottom right here it says powered by Socrata. So this is documentation for their product. A lot of cities use this. And so what I want to show you is, okay, so here if we go to export, you can download this as a static file, as like a CSV, JSON, RSS, XML. You could even, they used to allow you to do it as a PDF, which was kind of funny and ironic. What I want to show you here is the SODA API, which stands for Socrata Open Data API. There's docs, and basically any table you see that kind of looks like a Google spreadsheet will have this API endpoint. And if I copy that URL and put it in a browser, you can see it's a JSON feed, and this is basically the same data that we saw in that table, presented as a JSON endpoint. So each of these blocks represents one row in that table. And so that's how. And what's nice about this is, as new data gets added, as new through-in-one requests are made, as long as you're hitting this endpoint on a regular basis, your data stream will be updating in real time. And so that's one advantage to using this to programmatically grab the data versus to grab a static version of the data. Does that make sense? Okay. I know it's kind of ugly to look at a big block like this, but it's data. It's the same data just presented in a different way. Okay. Let's see. So everyone saw Haley earlier tonight. Haley has been helping lead this initiative. The City of Austin has an open data manual. The main thing that's cool here that I want to share with folks is this liaison roster. So if you're working on a project and you know it's about water quality, and you have an idea that the watershed department is the one collecting the data you're using, but there might be some like column headers that don't make sense to you. You don't understand what data is being described, and you want to answer some questions about. You want to get more information, what's called metadata, so information about the data. If you're in that situation and you knew what department was maintaining the data set, but you still had some questions, you could come to this current liaison roster and see within all the city's departments. So here's Austin Water, which is separate from watershed protection, I think. Yeah. So here's Mr. Rob Clayton and his email address. and we could reach out to him to answer some questions about the data that's being collected. So that's a really valuable tool. This is something that's new that the city has been starting to do, is to create this community of data liaisons that kind of represents and help the public answer questions about the open data they're publishing. So that was just one example of a data set. There's a bunch more. So there's data.austintexas.gov, there's data.texas.gov, which will look very similar. It's got the same kind of layout. And there's the federal data.gov. This is, if you're interested in anything at the federal level, and I think you could even search, like if I searched Austin in here, I think you might even be able to see some of the data sets that have been published on the city's data portal will also be published here. So this is a really, really good place to go. These are some other examples of different APIs and SDKs for getting other data from other sources. So here's a good one, awesome public data sets. It's basically just a list of projects. So say we were doing something related to energy, there's a bunch of different places to go get energy-related data, even international. And then another good source to explore data is a new company in town called Data.World. They're based in Austin, and they're a place where you can go publish your data if you want to share it with folks or collaborate with people. Yeah, so they have a feature. This is always kind of interesting. Japanese internment camps, presidential appointments. They always have kind of like timely data sets that they kind of feature. So I think that's kind of fun to browse just to get ideas and see what's out there.
Cycling data was featured last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, just giving you a couple more examples of the types of projects people have worked on in the past. Instabus took data that Cap Metro published about the bus's location in real time and put it on a map. It was, or it is, oops, my computer's changing. Disable this for an hour. It's nice because it shows you where the buses are in real time. The Cap Metro's feed isn't the most reliable though. So that was kind of always a problem. The underlying data, the interface was always pretty nice, but the data set, the stream of data was kind of unreliable. So Cute Pets Austin is a Twitter bot that takes photos of pets and their names, and kind of puts it together in a little message encouraging people to adopt animals from the animal shelter. So if you're overwhelmed with looking at bad news on Twitter and you just want to brighten your day a little bit, you can follow Cute Pets Austin. Oh, those kittens. Cool. Austin Park Equity, Austin Park Equity used the park shapes and kind of drew radiuses around the parks to highlight the places that were in the most need, or like park deserts. And also include some data, like demographic data about the different districts, to kind of paint a picture of which council districts in the city were in the most need of park investment. So like District 4 here, you could see, we kind of did some rankings on how much total area of that district is parklands, and how many total parks there are. And then things like how old, like what's the, how much of the population is under a certain age. So this is an example of kind of a mapping visualization using different types of data. Cool. I'm going to skip this stuff. I'm going to go through it quickly. But GitHub is, if you aren't familiar with it, you'll hear about it here because a lot of our projects are hosted on GitHub. GitHub's basically a place to save code. There's also some good project management features in GitHub, and you already saw earlier how we use it to collect new project ideas. Let's get through all this. Base Def is a, what do you call this? Using the first letter of a word to make a new word?
Acronym.
Acronym?
Yeah.
That was... Yeah, it's an acronym. Thank you all. And this is basically like if you don't know what to work on, but you want to contribute, this is a helpful acronym that gives you, I feel like there's another name for this.
Mnemonic.
That's what it is. Thank you. Blog, apply, suggest, extend, document, evangelize, fix. So these are kind of different ways you can contribute to a project, even if you're not sure where to jump in. So blog, it's always nice to have someone with an outside perspective kind of do a summary of the work and highlight it in a certain way. That's really helpful if you're a writer who would love to get your contribution in this way, or just any blog post, anything that's interesting to you that's related to civic technology. Apply. So this is really the idea of adopting the tool, using it yourself, giving it a test run, and giving some feedback. A 5-minute test. Suggest improvements. Extend. So this is basically adding new features. If the project does something and you wish it did something more, and you have an understanding of how it was built, feel free to add new features and suggest them. Document. This is a lot like blogging, but it's a little more technical. So maybe walking someone through how to use a project, like a tutorial, things like this. Evangelize. This is also like blogging, but it's more kind of sharing information about this tool. Kind of think about it more as like a marketing thing. And fix. All coding projects have bugs. First thing that's really helpful is identifying those bugs, and then fixing them if you know how. Cool. So that's base def. And the last thing I think here. Okay, so we have a Slack organization. I talked about that before. These are some interesting channels that you might want to follow in there. And then, so we're in the Code for America network. So there's brigades like ours all throughout the country. So if you're traveling, look for one. I'm going to be in Boston this next week, and their meetup's on a Tuesday, but I'm leaving Monday, so I'm kind of bummed out. But there's Code for America is based in San Francisco. They're a national nonprofit. They have the brigade program. They also have the fellowship program, where they send people to work inside municipalities. So if you're interested in doing that kind of work, definitely check it out. And that's all. Cool. Any questions?
Where can we see the deck?
Yeah. So if you go to the HackPad, it's linked in here.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else? Other questions? Cool. Thank you for filming, Oliver.
No problem, bro.
All right, cool. I said I wanted to be quick so I could get y'all back into the other